I would like to call the regular board meeting for Monday, June 15th to order. The time is 5:46 p.m. Roll call, if you are still here and haven't left in the last minute. Mr. Bailey.
Here.
Mrs. Dean is on her way. Mrs. Johnson.
Here.
Mrs. Martin.
Present.
Ms. Miller. Here. Mr. Osowski.
Here.
I am still here. The chair is still here. And our student representative has graduated and grown up. And we're happy and sad. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Moving on to President's remarks. Again, if you have not placed your cell phone on silent, please do so. Other than that, hopefully, we're going to discuss everybody's favorite subject later tonight. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda of the June 15th, 2026 regular meeting as presented?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Mrs. Martin. It's like a race these days. Seconded by Mrs. Johnson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes. Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. I'm going to make y'all say something funny.
Fun to it.
That's right. Next time I'm going to be like, opposed, say, yeah. I'm going to have y'all go country. Call to the audience, public participation regarding agenda items. I know y'all are just dying to ask us questions about the budget, right? The plan. Okay. All right. We will move on to presentations. Strategic planning, which is our continued work. Scott Morrell, facilitator, MASB, you are in the hot seat. You are up. Come on down. You're the next contestant.
I gave you 2 documents tonight to review. One is the 2-page that we've talked about in the past. And once we have it finalized, this is still a draft. I'll leave mine with you. It's still a draft, so if you see anything, let me know. But I wanted to get it in front of you guys so you could review it. You set at the retreat, we set the vision and mission and the belief statements. The vision being Redford Union School District will cultivate students who are responsible, empathetic citizens who think critically and are driven to make a positive impact on society. The mission is committed to providing a safe, inclusive, equitable learning environment where every student thrives through rigorous, high-quality education that supports the whole child. Remember doing all that work?
Yeah.
They came out really good.
I like them.
The belief statements, the core values are all students can learn and will have equitable access to high-quality education. A safe and supportive environment are essential. Relationships and collaboration with all stakeholders are crucial to supporting the whole community. Okay? Those are the core values. Remember, those are those we will or we believe. They're not hope and prayer. These are core values that we believe in that we got to make sure get done on a regular basis. In your bigger packet, you'll see the timeline what we went through. We started really the work in March, so it's been 3 months. Not bad. It's a pretty quick turnaround. If you remember, we did stakeholder input. I was here for a day, and we did survey. We had 601 responses between the two, so it's a pretty big amount of responses, so we were able to get some good data out of that. April 11th, we had 40 people here, spent 8+ hours together, and did all this work. We reviewed about 170 pages of data, built your vision, your mission, core values. We ended up with 4 goals. We're going to talk about those in a minute. And so it was a very busy day, but I have to commend the group that was there. They worked hard. and we got done early. So that's always a positive for everybody, so, but they were diligent and really were committed to the process, so that's a thing that you should be proud of as a district, and as a community. You can see the names of the people who were on the planning team. We just showed vision, mission, and core values. 4 goal statements. To implement a comprehensive before and/or after-school programs for all eligible school community members. Inspire, support, celebrate, and defend, oh, that's not there. That copied in from another one. So it ends there, community members. Cultivate and foster partnerships with community members and organizations to enhance social development and educational opportunities for all students. Develop and implement a clear, consistent, and district-wide attendance policy that improves student attendance and accountability. And that was a big one. And then demonstrate continuous improvement in areas of expanding vocational education, programming, and opportunities for all students. Okay? And then the last piece was on the 27th of April, I got to come out and spend a number of hours with your leadership team. And they started looking at what have we done, what has been done in the district? Where do we want to be in 5 years? What are some of the interim steps that we need to do? And then we put that all together, and that's, if you look on the back of, or on this page 2 of the 2-pager, with the goals, you'll see first year objectives. That's the work we did with your team. The board's not responsible for objectives. That's the how. The board is only on the what. So vision, mission, values, and goals are what you're gonna approve. We give you the first year objectives so you know, because you're gonna have to monitor this going forward. So you can see the work that your group did to identify, and your final documents will actually have a chart. It'll show you what quarter everything's in. Because they got that linear to say this is gonna start. They started looking at who's gonna be responsible, leading the charge for that. So we did a lot of work together. So the plan itself is already going. Basically the 27th is when it started, because they started implementing or putting stuff in place and thinking about it. And, a lot of good discussions with the group that was there to come up with those first year objectives. What happens is a year from now, your superintendent does the same thing with their team and says, okay, let's take an inventory. Where are we at now? Where do we want to be? And what are the steps in the second year? And so some of the first year stuff may come over, but you also look at, okay, what is the next steps to happen? And so you frame out the second year. Again, you're going to see it, and you'll see it on my chart, so you'll be able to put a scorecard together when I send you the full outcomes packet, and you'll be able to say, okay, did we see this happen? Or let's get a report on this because it's happening in this quarter. And so the board will be able to monitor, and that's what we talked about talking about strategic planning on a regular basis. When you look at the chart, you'll see they've got about 12 to 14 different things they're working on between the 4 goals, and some are in each quarter. So you'll have stuff to be looking for, benchmarks to be looking for, or getting updates on. You don't have to do necessarily spend a lot of time, but we want it in front of you so that you're looking at it, making sure we're still meeting the spirit of that team that was there on that Saturday together and did all that work. Talked about the goals and objectives. So really, last couple pages, board approval of vision, mission, beliefs, and goal statements. That's the 4 things you have to approve. Once you approve it, you're gonna turn to your superintendent and say, go. Because it's her job and her team's job to make it happen. It's our job to monitor and evaluate and oversee. Ours is not to tell them, well, you should have done it this way or that way. That's for them. You're gonna say, did we get where we wanna be? Did we meet the expectations of where we wanted to be? So at your next meeting, you're gonna wanna put that on the agenda to approve the strategic plan as a whole, with the board, so that we can make it official and you're off and running. Our last things to think about going forward is, and we talked about it with your leadership, is aligning strategic plan with MyKIP, the continuous improvement plan. All that data that we did, all the data we did with, on the 27th with the administrators, all fits into MyKIP. That's why we do it the way we do. That's why it's a lot of work, but your team doesn't have to do double work now. They're able to just grab that stuff and put it right in MyKIP, and they were kind of thrilled. This is one less thing they gotta deal with. Align your plan to the budget and beyond.
Yeah,
You gotta
2026.
look at, yeah, 23 I gotta fix. It's fun when you look at it and you don't see them. And then you're
Right.
sitting here and go, oh, that's not right.
Yeah,
But you wanna be looking at next year's budgets and saying, okay, what do we need? Because strategic plan's gotta be first dollar spent, not what's left in the kitty when it's all said and done. We have to make sure we're funding. Now, when we start looking at a lot of, you'll see a lot of grant writing and alternate funding that the staff were talking about doing to be able to make it happen. So it's not like it's all gonna become out of general fund. You know, and some of the stuff, you know, partnering with the community, there's really not a lot of cost to it. It's just doing the legwork to figure out what you got and where you wanna be. You're gonna develop and implement a reporting calendar for the board, and that'll be in your packet. I'll send you that when I send that stuff next week. Implement an internal, external communication. You have to, as a board, decide how you're gonna get this out to your staff, the community at large, the parents, so that they know what's going on, what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing. That's one of your works. Implement action plans. That again is superintendent and her team, but we have to make sure it's happening. You gotta be asked the questions, are we getting movement? Are we seeing progress? And if we're not, why? That's the board's responsibility. Create opportunities for stakeholder involvement. Anytime we can get beyond the core group, the board and the administrators, and bring in other staff and community, that makes this plan go so much stronger. When you look at like the partnership one, you have to bring the outside groups in. It's the only way it's gonna work. But that's what we want. We want it to be everybody's plan. It's not the board's plan. Remember, we had 40 different people there. It's the Redford Union strategic plan. It's for everybody. And that's the strength of it, is making sure, but we wanna encourage everybody. And then the last thing is, a year from now, you bring that 40-member team together for an hour or two in the evening, and you talk about the 4 goals and where you're at, what's going on, and are we still meeting the spirit of what was talked about? And if it's not, or something has to change, we get the blessing of that 40-member team to say, that's not really what we're trying to do, we need to reshape that goal maybe. That group gets to make that decision and recommend to you guys, because then it still stays as stakeholders. The minute the board takes and makes changes after you approve it, it's no longer a stakeholder, it's the board's. And I can tell you, as if, you know, I'm a former board member, we don't do it well. We need everybody's input, and so don't throw that away and squander that, as we go forward. You wanna get that, and that's a great strength. Again, 60 to 90 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes on each of the goals with discussion, and you're out of there, but that way the community gets to carry the message out. You're not saying, oh, look at the great things we're doing.
right.
They know you're gonna say that, but when parents and staff and community members and students go out and say it, it has a lot more credibility to it. And then the last page is just a thank you to you guys for the opportunity. It was fun, we got a lot of work done. It's always interesting when we do these, what they're like. Some go very easy and some not so easy. So I appreciate the opportunity, MASB appreciates the opportunity. I'm not done, you'll get more documents from me, but even after you approve it, I'm still always a call away to say, hey, I'm not sure what we talked about, or hey, how do we do this? That's what I'm there to support you through this. We don't want you to feel like, oh, got thrown in the deep end and MASB's run out the door and hiding on you. That's not what we're here for. We want to support you, so we're available anytime through that. Okay,
Okay.
questions? By next week, you'll have a full packet
Awesome.
of a number of documents. I'll get them over to the office. They can get them out to you guys. They'll have, one is outcomes. It's an Excel spreadsheet that has all the work we did. So the stuff with the, scan horizon and emerging, all that's in there. The work from the 27th's in there. The vision and mission, remember all the Post-its that we put stickers on? All that's in there. So everything that was done has been recorded. So you'll have it for posterity so that you can always refer back to it and say, well, why did this get to be a goal? Here's why. Because these things fit together. We had 27 dots, which is 27 votes for that item. That's how it raised up to be one of your 4 goals. Okay?
I think too, it might help if you have to realign a little bit, right? Like, if you look at a goal and it's maybe a little off track, if you go back and look at what the initial thought process was behind that goal, it kind of helps you keep it focused.
Right. And
right?
that's,
And what was the
but
intent,
the
the heart of
goals,
it?
we write goals that are pretty open to go a lot of ways. So
Yeah.
as things change in the district, you can still meet the spirit of what the goal is, but it might take a right or a left turn. And that's okay, because you still gotta be on top of things and just say, well, that's what we said we're doing, and we're not changing. And things may have changed, state may have changed some, heaven forbid, and we're gonna have new governor. Things are gonna change.
Yeah.
No matter who's in that
Yeah.
office, things change. So we can't be afraid of it. What we're saying is, if you gotta make a structural change, you wanna get with that 40-member team, even if it's not a year from now. You can do it electronically, send it out to them, say, okay, here's what we're proposing. Let us know if that meets your hopes and wishes, so that, again, they're the ones blessing the plan.
Do you recommend, because like one of them is, develop and implement a reporting / board monitoring calendar. Do you recommend that monthly, quarterly?
Well, you have it with your stuff.
Right.
But it'll be quarterly, because you'll see, when we scheduled everything, we put stuff in quarter increments.
Right.
And so you'll be able to just check it and say, okay, did we, and that's not when it's being completed, that's when
Right,
it's
just
being,
a touch-
the bulk
like a
of the
touch
work's
base.
gonna be worked on.
Yeah.
And you're gonna touch base on it.
Right.
But they had, because when we do it, everything gets put in the first quarter, we had to go back and start moving stuff over.
Yeah, 'cause-
Because we're all excited, we want everything done the first month, and you can't do that
can't do
to
that. You will
everybody,
burn
so.
out.
That's why we work it out, so you'll get that, you'll get a chart that shows all that, so you'll be able to, that can be your scorecard very easily to say, okay, here's what they're supposed to be doing, and here's when it's supposed to start. And you'll be able to follow that. And it may be, your superintendent's weekly update may have some of the information. There's multiple ways for you to get the information. Just make sure you're sharing it with your community. Okay?
Chair,
Mr. Bailey?
Mr. Morel, I
Yeah.
wish to thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
I wish to thank you very much.
Thank you.
Whoever thought that strategic planning would be a good thing.
Yep.
Mr. Galdis, I see that you attended. I thank you very much for doing that. I really appreciate you lending your knowledge base to this. So, I'm looking positive that this really turns out well.
Good. It's
Thank you.
exciting. That's good.
Question.
Mrs. Martin?
As it relates to the academic goals,
Mhm.
not the goal, but the goals. For instance, will these things, like, if we were to, at the end of the school year, we have our superintendent, what's that,
Evaluation, discussion, yep.
Would this be included in that to see if some of these things were talked about, or
Yeah,
no?
because in the goal, if you use our tool, there's a section, student growth, and right next to it is progress towards district goals, which is exactly this.
Okay.
And what you do for that is, we have 4 goals, and maybe there's 4 things under those, so that's 5 times 4 is 20. How many of those got work done? not completed, worked
Right.
on. That's how you score it. So for that section, if you worked on 15 of the 20, 75, you're effective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. okay.
That's how it works, so that it's very quick, and that's why I'll give you the chart to look at, because you'll be able to just highlight, did we meet this, and superintendent can do the same thing and give you an update and say, okay, we've worked on, because you may not see it all, but she can update you and say, okay, we've worked on these, here's where we're at. And so it's a nice thing, and that's something you can, again, then put out on your website and to your community, say, here's some of the things that happen behind the scenes. Because the first year is a lot of bench work, a lot of behind the scenes work, so we're not gonna see, so you gotta share and say, hey, don't think we're not doing it, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, we're just not at the position to roll it out yet, or show it to everybody.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Good, that was a good question. Is there any further discussion? All right. I want to echo Mr. Bailey's thanks. You have been an amazing partner. We look forward to continuing to work with you. We were just discussing, Mrs. Martin and I we're looking forward to, you know, you did our board evaluation with us, and, you know, we're looking forward to, in the months to come, doing some more work regarding that, and,
Yep.
you know, so you're not done with us yet.
That's fine.
You're stuck with Redford
No,
Union.
it's not a stuck thing.
Because we're
It's a
growing,
good thing.
because we want to grow.
It's
you
a good-
know.
it's a good thing.
And there, we know there's still work to do around that as
Always
well.
is, yeah.
And I think we all would agree that you got a pretty good vibe of how we roll here.
Mm-hmm.
And we get you really well too. So I think it's a good partnership. So,
Good, excellent.
Richard,
Mr. Bailey?
how did we thank these people for participating?
Sent out a thank you letter that MASB provided us a template of a thank you.
So we had the addresses and everything for all these folks?
Yeah, because I emailed them the initial, or sent through the mail the initial invitation. So everybody who was on that list had received an invitation from me.
Outstanding, thank you.
Yeah.
Does the board have,
What's that?
this is more a question for
Okay.
the board. Do we have letterhead for the school board?
I would think, not specific to the school board, but I think, you know, we would use Redford Union Schools letterhead, if something were to come from the board. I think that would be the appropriate way.
So, in order to get information out and participation, there's, I guess, 252 responses, whatever. I don't know how,
601, I gotta change that number.
how many?
601.
Say it again.
601 responses.
Is that good for the community?
It's huge.
Yeah.
All right, so what I'd like to do is, write a letter of thanks to the places that allowed us to put out surveys. So that's the water board building, the treasurer, the library. I can write it, but if we have the vehicle in which it can be put on paper, some sort of letterhead,
Can
and it
you-
can be given to these folks.
Can you provide Mrs. Warren with the list of,
The sites, yeah.
the sites? Yeah.
Because
And then-
again, in the past, we've said about public participation and nobody participates, whatever. The thing is, if we can continue to cultivate this, I think we can generate greater public participation.
Okay.
So I think this would be an important thing to make sure that these people get thanked.
Absolutely. I'm okay with that. We can draft a letter for the board to approve, since it's coming from the Board of Education. I would, you know, we can get a letter and then get that out to them, I'm sure.
I can't Lambert work on that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. See, and then it'll be all nice and polished. The Lambert people, they know how to spin the words.
Enjoy your summer.
Thank you, Scott.
See you guys soon. Thanks a lot.
All right. Moving on, Growth Works and Hope Squad. Brian Galdes, Director of Growth Works, and Lynn Adolfo, Social Emotional Learning
And they brought some
Specialists and students. Welcome, we love Hope Squad.
Can you help with some chairs so that the students? Lynn, go up there. Bring your students.
Come on out. You don't have to come if you don't want to. There's no pressure.
Come on.
We can talk as a panel.
I'll steal your chair.
There you go.
Madam President, if it's okay, I will probably just stand up and when I'm doing my part and.
That's,
go from there.
you be comfortable however you are. You were a teacher before superintendent, right?
This-
So that's
yes, I
the
was.
teacher in you,
Yes, I
right?
was. Yes, I was. Okay, no, that's fine. As President Pridemore said, I'm Brian Gallis, I am the I am not.
You're not the superintendent. Not anymore.
Can't pull,
It's been a couple
can't pull a
years.
guy out of a school board meeting. I am the suicide prevention coordinator for GrowthWorks. And you can see the mission statement for the Hope Empowerment Coalition, which is, if you want to go ahead and change it, or do I have to change it?
Do you have the dongle for that? I can plug it in if you have a clicker.
Do you have a clicker?
Oh, I do have a clicker.
Ooh, so we can get high tech here, Brian. We will let you have the clicker.
See? Okay. Okay, so
Oh, perfect.
there you go.
So you can see we are a coalition of 9 school districts. Redford Union is one of them. And we also are made up of Trinity Health and Corewell Health, the 2 hospital systems. We're also very big in our coalition. And then you can see the service agencies that also support us. They're listed up there. And for Redford, the Redford Commission on Youth and Families is a big supporter of the work that we do. And so you can see the others up there. And we did add, the last time I was here, we, I showed you the logos that we had. Obviously, GrowthWorks is our big supporter, the Hope Empowerment Coalition. But we also added one this year, Students versus Stigma. And we're going to talk about that today. So that's new to my presentation. So our coalition has a steering committee, and it's made up of 2 people from each school district, the hospital systems, and some of the supporting agencies. And so your representatives on the steering committee are Tamron Dillard and Lynn Adolfo. And I will have to tell you, this is, my message isn't always happy. It's a difficult conversation to have. It's an important conversation to have. But a lot of times when I leave, it's kind of, it's heavy, right? And but there's so much reason to celebrate for Redford Union. Your district is without a doubt the highest flyer of the coalition. You're the gold standard, and really are in some ways far and above the rest of the school districts in the work you're doing. So Redford Union is leading the pack, and you really need to be proud. It's a lot of work. I can go on and on and on about how much work that Redford Union is doing in this area. So pride all around for the work that you're doing. And these 2 people, Tamron and Lynn, are leaders among leaders of that steering committee. Tamron has been part of it since day 1. And she, not only has she part of the steering committee, but she's always on every subcommittee. She has been with the Students versus Stigma. She's been part of a small group of volunteers from the steering committee who have gotten together, and put that together. And so that's extra hours on top of the extra hours that they're doing. And so, because this is all extra work, it's not in the job description. And so, Tamron, thank you so much. I'll say it a million times.
We know how lucky we are.
You can turn in a timesheet.
Doesn't mean it'll get approved, right?
Tamron has really been a true leader for the whole coalition for Western Wayne County. So, and then Lynn has come on a little bit later with us when she really started with the Students versus Stigma group, and you're gonna hear a lot more about them in a bit. But Lynn has blown it out of the water.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah. She is the reason that your Students versus Stigma and Hope Squad is really flying, and she is our expert on our steering committee for this work, and she is our gold standard for the rest of the districts to figure out how to do it right. And so Lynn is amazing. I would give her another hand if I were you. You need to be very proud. Thank you.
And also gives up many Saturdays
Yeah.
of her own time to do this work.
Yeah.
And we're really grateful for that, along with students.
Yeah, and I will tell you that these two, and the whole steering committee really give a lot of extra time to do this work. Everyone who's on our steering committee has a tough job. There's far too few mental health professionals in our schools, far too few. And their caseloads are enormous, and it's very emotional work. We talk a lot about what's going on in each district, and it's heavy. It's super heavy, and so for them to step up to do this extra work, and I realize it comes back to the district, and the districts are better for it. But everyone on the steering team deserves a lot of credit. Okay, I am going to do statistics because I always do a few. The ones I think that are the most important, and like I said the last time I met with you, suicide is still the second leading cause of death for this group, and there was a little bit of a dip down in 2024 in terms of numbers, a minor little dip, but from what I'm hearing from across the state, I've been kind of working at the state level now with some of this work, with the coalition work, and we really are not hearing positive things coming from communities. There currently are 4 school districts right now in Michigan that are considered a contagion situation. And what that means is there's multiple suicides, completed suicides. There is a school district that's not too far from here that's had 6 in 2 years.
Oh.
So, yeah, they've lost 6 students. And there's 4 districts in the state that are struggling. So things are not going in the direction that we want them to go.
Breaks my heart.
And of course, I show this chart every time because this is the one that drives me, and it is just jaw dropping. The numbers that we see, and this information comes from the CDC work as well as the MiFi work. It's an instrument that we use in Michigan. But when you look at SAD and hopelessness, that we track that because typically when anyone really decides to take their life, there's usually a sadness or a hopelessness component to it. And so when you look at the state of Michigan, 40% of our high schoolers reported to being significantly sad or hopeless for a significant amount of time during the school year in the last 12 months. That means, and again, these are not documented cases. I want to make sure that you understand. These are not, I could put a name to all of these, but I'm extrapolating the numbers. But there's no reason why I wouldn't extrapolate the numbers, because when you look at the data, this is not somebody else's problem. This crosses socioeconomic standards. It crosses race. It crosses religion. It crosses gender. And so this isn't somebody else's problem. So if you extrapolate those numbers, that's 294 Redford Union High School students who have felt significantly sad or hopeless in the last 12 months.
That's most of our students.
And you can look at considered attempts. You can look at made a plan. And again, the number that I still can't believe, I've been talking about this for years, but 9% of the students across the country, it's actually 10% across the country, it's 9% in Michigan, have made an attempt on their life in the last 12 months. So if you take the 736 students in Redford Union High School, Mike, I hope I have that number right.
Is that 2021 data, or is that current data?
That is good question, Mike. That's a bad slide. That's actually 2023. The CDC risks data is always a couple years behind, as well as the Michigan data is usually a year or two behind. So yeah, that's an old slide. But that means 66 Redford Union High School students will have, or in the last 12 months have attempted to take their life in some way. And that's what drives us. You know, that's just not acceptable, and we need to figure it out. And again, this is not a Redford Union problem. This is not a Redford
Right.
problem. This is not a Northville problem. This is not a Taylor problem. This really is something we need to come together. And that's why I'm so passionate about the work of a coalition, because everyone is working hard. You know, we can't work harder. And so how do we come together to make a difference? And that's what we're trying to do. And you're gonna hear about, okay, so how do we make a
Can I ask
difference?
a question? I'm sorry.
Oh, yes.
My questions, can I ask a question in the process?
Yes,
wait.
yes, 100%.
Okay, so have you looked at like, junior high and elementary schools?
Yeah, actually, junior high data is higher in terms of making a plan.
Oh,
Yeah, not quite as high in attempts, but yeah, or completions. And we're starting to do work in elementaries, yeah. Unfortunately, there have been a number of elementary students in, not this exact area, but close enough in the last couple of months.
What age you talking about?
Third, fourth, fifth grade.
Really?
I've heard of kindergartners
oh,
who have made attempts.
Attempt, how many succeed?
I don't know that number.
Significant?
One significant to me, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know the number. And I can't tell you if it's significant or not. But one, again, I'm not saying that in, you know, one is too many insignificant. So some things that we're doing, we talked about the student crisis screener, that we're all using the same one, as well as even the hospitals are using the same screener now because of this work. We've done QPR training in all of our districts. We're working on collecting data. It's a hard thing to collect. And one of the things that we believe we need to follow is not suicide completions, but suicide attempts.
Yeah.
Because that's really where, I mean, suicide completions is really a trailing indicator, right? You want to look at leading indicators, which hopelessness, sadness, and attempts are, you know, that's something you can make a difference in. I will tell you too in data, and something that's interesting is that when you look at the data, stressful times during the school year, you'll see a spike up in student attempts. And then vacations, you'll see spikes down. So, so what does that tell me? This is not blaming schools. I've been a part of schools my whole professional career. This is not schools' fault. But there's also a reality to it in that we do have an impact on kids and their life. So what's a stressful time? The beginning of the school year is a stressful time for kids. Prom time is a stressful time for kids. Exam time is a stressful time for kids. Going home is a stressful time. Long vacations are stressful. You know, different sets of kids, but those are all stressful times. And I think the best thing in looking at that data, I think the best thing we can do is really support kids during those times and work upstream instead of waiting for the crises to happen or kids to be in crisis. Really, how much, you know, what can we do, you know, and that's, you're gonna hear from these guys in a little bit, but really finding out from the kids, what can we do to help you? What can we do to support you during those times? And that's why that data is important. You know, the group does research and recommendations when we're looking at peer-to-peer programs. They did a lot of research on that. And mutual support, this was one that I didn't anticipate going in. It may be one of the most important things we do, is that the school district, the individuals in the school districts that are working, your special ed directors, your social workers, your counselors, because of the events that we put on and the steering committee, they've really come together and they've really gotten to know each other. And they've really supported each other. I'll get a call, you know, Brian, we have this situation in the district. We've never dealt with this before. You know, I said, well, you know, let me see what I can do. I think such and such district and such a district has had this issue before. Let's see what we can do. Boom, they'll be Zooming in it, you know, by the afternoon. And instead of that person making some tough decisions for a student, you know, really life decisions for the students all by themselves in an office, you know, isolated, they're able to connect with people they know well that have gone through this, and they really support each other. That it has been really one of the best things that we've done, is really broken down the silos between school districts, and even for some of our larger schools, between schools. Yeah, if you have a question, please, we have to wait till the end of the presentation, just let me know. All right, so we do a lot of professional development for school-based mental health professionals, and this is just a couple examples of them. So what are we doing moving forward? So these are a couple of things that we're working on now that are forward-facing. We're really looking at how do we support a student who does go into crisis. So they're at Redford Union, they're in the office, and they're having a crisis, they're in crisis. So now what happens, right? As school systems, we don't always have systems in place that support the students, and so we've brought together school special ed directors, counselors, social workers, private practice people, residential treatment center representatives, emergency room representatives. So pretty much whatever track a student might take, whether they go home from that point, whether they go to an emergency room, whether they go right to residential treatment, where we have everybody in the room, and we're talking about how do we break down these barriers. Every one of those groups, the emergency room representatives are probably the most vocal about it. They get these students and they don't have any information on what's going on. Or they might have biased information on what's going on. They don't really necessarily have objective information. And so it's going to be a big lift. But the idea is that we'll have a template where here's some resources that can go with the student, with the parents, and here's a process for going from A to B to C to D. And then most importantly, how does the student get back into school? And what happens? I'm gonna tell you right now, at least my experience as a principal and a superintendent, many times we don't even know that a student was in crisis. And so now they come back to the school, and worst case scenario, we think we've been at Disneyland for a week or 2 weeks, and so there's no communication to the school, and so how do we best support that student, without knowing what they've been through? And so we're really working on, and at the end, we really want to have a process for that information to get to the school.
Do you think some of that not knowing is the stigma and the parents' fear of saying, this is what our family's going through, that they're afraid that they're going to be judged for being bad parents, or that not really comprehending that we love their students and their children as much as they do, and we want to support not only their student but their family as well. Because I think back, I probably would not have, if it had been one of my children, I don't think I would have said to the school what was going on. I just think back to that, and I have a deep understanding because of a family history of emotional issues and and I probably never would have gone to my how do we fix that?
So you nailed it. Stigma is one of our biggest problems, and you'll see both in the work that the students are doing. They've even identified it, and the work that we're doing is breaking that stigma. Inviting me to talk in public about this, once a year is breaking stigma. So we want to do as many things as we can. It's a hard thing to talk about.
Yeah.
It really is. It's hard for the community. Mercy Road had me in 2 weeks ago, something like that, 3 weeks ago. And so I talked to a group of their congregation about this. So
It's even a bigger stigma in church. God forbid you'd admit,
And
in church that you.
Yeah, different cultures. There's different stigmas in there too, and it's huge. It is absolutely huge. Yes.
And I think that it from inside of the building is I guess for me as a parent, I think about who do I know that I would trust to tell this information to? Who would I go to? But for me, it's like I don't feel like I should choose who I should go to share information about my student. I would want my student to tell me, Mom, could you talk to so and so?
Yeah.
And then that's what I would do. And I think that that's where it's important too, and those relationships within the building are really, really important. Yeah, should Mr. Taylor know? Absolutely, 100%. But maybe Miss Shaw is the person that my student would want to go to, or maybe it's, you know, whoever else, Miss S or whoever in the building, their coach, you know, whoever. So I think that it really is dependent on the student too, and the trust that they have with certain staff members that they're willing to share. And then from there, that's the trusted adult that kind of like supports them with everybody else and how the information may be put throughout.
Yeah.
For their other teachers to know.
Yeah.
But I think it's them being comfortable and saying like, yeah, I have this going on. Who should I be able to? Who do I want to share this with? And not just the parents saying like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to Mr. Taylor, or I'm gonna go talk to Miss Nichols, and I'm gonna tell them what's going on. When that may not be somebody that they're comfortable with knowing directly.
It's all about relationships. It really is, and I believe that once we've worked through what's the best process for having a student, you know, reintegrating into school, or even in between, you know, from school to the emergency room or whatever, that it won't be, you know, you'll absolutely be going to the principal or the assistant principal or the social worker, whatever.
Yeah.
It'll be more of, and again, we're not there yet, but more of something along the lines of there'll be an opportunity for students to have a relationship with someone in the building where they can go to, something like that. So it's, because you're right, it is about relationships, and you want to find that out. And I'm excited about the students versus stigma group, because they're gonna tell us. It's been a long time since I've been in high school, and there's been a lot of change. But, you know, if we're gonna move that needle,
40 years,
you know,
man.
from 9% of our students choosing to take their life, if we're gonna move that down, the students their leadership needs to be centered, and they need to be heard. Otherwise, we're not gonna move that needle. 'Cause we've got the best and brightest working in that steering committee. Even with that, without their voices, we're not gonna move the needle. Did I see another hand over here?
No, but I'd like to ask, Mr. Taylor, are you seeing these statistics in
We
your
are,
life?
unfortunately, we are. We've had several, as Lynn can tell you, we had several attempts, actually in the last couple of years, 2 years, and I think we've had multiple this year attempts, unfortunately, but I can tell you, nothing is going to be perfect in how you handle these situations, but if there was a standard on how to, my staff here at the high school, I'm very proud of that. They've been trained, everybody's trained in QPR. Ms. Adolfo, our student group, as well as our other social workers, and Ms. Diller gets involved. When a student is even talking about it, it's stop everything, and the team takes that student in. There's a suicide threat assessment that's done per the state, and we use that to assess the situation, and they'll bring it to myself at the end, make a recommendation based on the results. 99.9% of the time for that child, I'm having them transported to St. Mary's so professionals can check them out. We got a great relationship with the Redford Police Department. If we need that student escorted up there, Officer Hall is phenomenal with our kids. Ms. Adolfo's has gone up there with their families. We also have, and I know Brian mentioned Higera Health on one of these slides. They're a huge advocate group for our students. They will come to the school, follow Higera Health. They will go up to St. Mary's, and that's the one I always recommend. St. Mary's is phenomenal. It's Trinity Health, the old St. Mary's up there in Levana 5 Mile.
Yeah.
They take teen suicide attempts and adults extremely seriously. So we're very fortunate to have them. But Higera Health will act as the advocates. They will follow the car up there, make sure that they are checked in, make sure that the medical professionals have that assessment, all the information that they need to know. They're making sure that they're seen in a respectable time frame, and make sure that the family is asking the right questions for the medical professionals and getting the right information back. So it's very unfortunate, obviously, but from start to finish, we have a very good, at the junior high as well, there's a very good plan of care for the kids when this does happen.
So Higera Health, is that the same thing as like Lincoln Behavioral?
They do that. I would say they have the similar services, but Higera Health, and Lincoln won't take our students up to a hospital like this. Higera will.
So the other thing is, there's like, what is it, how many people on the planet? 6 million, 6 billion, 8 billion? So, when you're talking about the ER, that's a situation where it's after the fact. It's already gotten to that point. But I remember assessments being mentioned here about test taking. The stress of test taking after a period of time, the kids just write down whatever. This is like a relay race. We've already been through here, right? Can we teach these kids coping behaviors? So the thing is when they go out in the work world, they're gonna have stress. You go in the military, there's a history of, if it gets hard enough, guys will just stand up, you know, and that's suicide,
Sure.
right? So the point is if we can give the tools even before they end up in the ER, I think that would be highly effective. But this has gotta be a problem around the world. So what's
I'm sure it
working
is.
that we can tap into instead of starting from scratch and trying to reinvent the wheel?
Hey, Mr. Bailey, you're absolutely right, it is, this is, like I was saying earlier, this isn't a Redford Union problem or even a Michigan problem. You know, the national statistics are the same, you know, this is going on everywhere, and, yeah, part of the work that I believe we need to be doing with students, with everybody really, but with students and from our work, is to work with coping skills, of course. So there's always going to be stress in life, and so that certainly would be part of a component of work that we would do, for sure.
And as a principal, sorry, I
Go
would love to see
right
you
ahead.
guys maybe collect this data or have somebody do. There's a correlation, there's a direct connection between social media and suicide.
Absolutely.
Suicide thoughts, and that's a whole different conversation that's gotta be had soon because it is impacting.
Mike, I couldn't agree with you more, and that, I think about myself, I talked earlier about how long it's been since I've been in high school. I mean, I remember high school angst, I remember what it was like to have all that, but I think about kids now. I mean, you have social media with filters, and, you know, I'm 65 years old, and I'm looking at a Facebook thing, and I'm like, wow, look at how well Scott's doing, you know, he's on his boat, he looks so great, and I'm like, no, I saw Scott last week and he's not that thin, you know? And he really hates that boat because it costs him a lot of money. And he only goes out on it once a year. That must have been his once a year summer picture, you know? But and I'm 65 and I gotta do that. Think
Yeah.
of a 16-year-old.
Absolutely. There's that old Styx song where it talks about, it's Miss America, and he's talking about, you're trying to keep, I'm dating myself, I'm talking about a Styx song, right? But you're trying to keep up, we're looking at these people up on the stage, right? And, it's Grand Illusion. And we think they've got it made, but they've got all the issues that we've got too, right?
Yeah.
They must have been really reflective when they wrote that song.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just wanted Mr. Bailey to know too that when just to clarify, when somebody goes to the emergency room, doesn't mean that there was always an attempt, but there was a verbalization of some sort that they said, and when receiving the assessment at a school level, that social worker or whomever it was that did it recommended this should be the next step in order to ensure their safety.
Yeah.
So ER doesn't always mean they have done something, but that they have thought about it and they've now verbalized it. And in my experience, when they verbalize it, they want the help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the reality is, unfortunately,
It's when they stop
if
talking.
somebody doesn't want help, they're just going to do it.
Yeah, they
They're
stop
not going
talking.
to tell somebody that they are going to do it.
And in our steering committee, on our steering committee is for both Corewell Health as well as Trinity Health, we have the director of their mental health professionals in the ERs. And so they're a direct voice in there, and they value the work that we're doing together. Okay, so each district is working with one of the 3 peer-to-peer programs that we talked about. Oh, go ahead.
Before you move on, is there a number that scholars can call if they feel like they're in a crisis or feel like they may harm themselves? Is that number available to all the kids at the high school and the middle school as well?
As a matter of fact, it's on their ID card. Yeah. Again, do they have 988? Is that on there too?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a law.
yeah. So maybe, Mike,
Oh,
maybe you could talk.
wow.
about
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
a law, we
national-
have to print them. So it's mandatory by law now in the state of Michigan that we print
Wow.
at all schools.
Okay, that's for middle and high school, and elementary as well.
That's for anybody, even adults, anybody in the nation.
Yeah. And I'm surprised that when I talk to groups, how many people don't know about 988.
Mm-hmm.
It really is a great tool. And it doesn't necessarily have to be for you. It doesn't have to, you can call, you know, Flynn came to me and said that she's struggling or whatever. I can make that call and say, I'm here with Lynn, you know, boom, 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 and they'll help you walk through it, so.
But can you text, you can also text too, right?
Yes,
There's
yeah.
texting, but yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I don't know, like even with Detroit Wayne Integrated Healthcare Network, they have the mobile access center for, especially if it's like after hours and you need that direct access, they will come to the home and do assessments in the home directly.
Yes, they will.
So is that something you guys are also teaching? Because my experience is the public out there
Yeah, they don't know.
doesn't have a
They
clue
don't.
or have a limited clue how to deal with the situation.
We are, we do try to do a community work and conversation. It's hard to get people to come. We've had some great speakers and, you know, in an auditorium, and we have, you know, 6 parents that come or something. So we're trying to do community things. What I did with, Mercy Road the last couple weeks ago, that was really well attended and that was great. So we're trying to get with the faith-based groups so they can help us.
So there's 2 ways of doing it, right? The adults that are already there, you can try doing it and 6 people show up. But these guys who are starting on the other end of life, this is how you do it if you run across this situation.
Mr. Bailey, you are 100% right. That's why I am so excited about the work that they're doing. And when we're gonna, next year when I'm here, I'm really excited about talking about what they're doing for sure. I'm gonna kind of get to this because I know I'm taking up more time than I was supposed to, so.
You're good. It's okay.
But I
We're
do
passionate
appreciate it.
about this.
So, you're gonna hear about Hope Squad. I'm gonna let Lynn talk about Hope Squad. And we did get some grant funding for that.
Yes.
Growth Force has given us some money to be able to take care of that. Student Voice, so we're talking about that also. We got some grant funding for that also. And I'm gonna let our Students versus Stigma, students talk about that. So Students versus Stigma, I'm just gonna say a couple things. I tell you what, I am so optimistic about our future, you know, because when I sit and I listen to the kids, I'm sure Mike can echo this same thing. They are amazing, you know. They talk about things. The conversations they have are so good. So this vision and mission statement, there is not one second of adult thought into this. This was done by the students. And it's amazing. It's probably better than our I don't know, probably better than our adult one. But so this is their vision. We're a community that provides the whys and hows to help students feel better and tackle stigma. They talk about stigma all the time. Mission: foster a multi-district, collaborative effort between students and mental health groups to develop tools and strategies that raise awareness, provide support, increase engagement, to improve youth mental health and overcome stigma. That was generated through student leadership and student words, not an ounce of adult input is on it. So yeah. Couldn't be more proud of our students. This is Jeff. They came up with a logo. And they named him, and they're gonna be giving Jeff a backstory now. And so it's still in process. I don't really know the whole thing yet, but so these are just some posters that they did to encourage kids to come to some of their events. And at this point, what I'm gonna do is just turn it over to Lynn, and Lynn will talk about the student versus stigma as well as the students and the Hope Squad.
I will. To begin with, I have to thank Mr. Galdes for Hope Network and for GrowthWorks support, because we wouldn't be where we are now. But most importantly, I have to thank Mike Taylor and Nikki Robertson, because without their support, they wouldn't have bought into my crazy harebrained ideas when I get them. But I will have to have a little discussion that they need to put the reins on when I get too many ideas, because then I get overloaded. You have to tell me no occasionally. And I say, hey, let's take a hot air balloon ride. No, let's not. But with that being said, a little background on Hope Squad. Hope Squad is a national organization. It's a national curriculum that is based on peer-to-peer suicide prevention. So students that participate with Hope Work, with Hope Squad, are given, I teach a lesson. And 1 week it may be on empathy, one week it may be on coping strategies, 1 week it changes from week to week. But it is a set curriculum for over 3 years. But on top of that, one of the main goals of Hope Squad is to also increase climate and culture within the school, because we know when school is a fun place to be and when kids want to be there, that helps with any mental struggles as well. So that's why we do activities and we do fundraisers so that we can do fun things. The first year that we had Hope Squad, we had 34 high schoolers and around 15 junior high students. This year we had 62 high school students and 30 some, I don't remember how many, junior high students. Each Hope Squad member is QPR trained right at the beginning, at their level, which means in QPR we know is question, persuade, refer. So if you put the numbers together at the secondary campus, that's almost 100 students that are QPR trained and able to recognize and be the person that someone can go to and they can ask the right questions to get them to the help that they need. That's a huge number to have 100 students in your building know what to do.
That is.
Thank you. Thank you. It's really been an exciting adventure. And of course I brought 2 students along. Ronald Cuthrell is a 2026 alumni. Ronald has been our spokesperson and has made videos to advertise our happenings and what our upcoming adventures are. And they are hysterical, I must add. They had me laughing. They did such an amazing job. So he's been like a spokesperson. Ronald also has attended every Students versus Stigma meeting, which meets on Saturdays. So he's given up every.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
And I have to say, the only pay he asked for is Donut Town apple fritters. So,
Yes.
I don't blame you.
I always make sure,
Yes.
you can't beat it, so I always
Right,
make
that's
sure
right.
I have it. And
Smart work.
Ariana Ierson, who is an uprising senior, is one of our other spokespersons for Hope Squad. Ariana, if I can boast on her for a bit, not only has she been like the eyes and ears of Hope Squad within the building, she'll even stop in and say, hey, I'm not sure, but I think I heard that there was some rumblings about some hard feelings over here, and that allows me then to address it. And I bring it to either Nikki or Mike, and we handle it as a team. But that's kind of what the peer-to-peer is. Not only are they the person to go to, but they also listen for any students who are struggling, either with friend group or with suicidal ideations. But Ariana has been chosen this year as a National Hope Squad Council. So she was chosen out of 150 students across the nation. And it's pretty amazing to represent little Redford Union when we're talking about the
Where you
Houstons and
Panther crowd.
and the Utah and the Salt Lake cities of where schools have thousands of Hawaii. Yeah, thousands of students in their high schools. So it's amazing, and I know that she'll do amazing things as well.
Great job,
Good job.
So
both of you.
I think it would be great if maybe Ronald could talk to you a little. Are you okay?
We're not scary. We're not scary.
Just about like some of the things we did in SVS at our Saturday meetings. You want to come move over here if you want? Sure. You can stand or sit. I'm a stander.
Hi everyone, my name is Ronald Cutherell. Nice to meet all of you today. How are everybody doing? Everybody having good days? Good to hear it.
Yes.
So some of the things we do at Students vs. Stigma, we discuss our mission statement, what we stand for. We discuss emails that we'll send out to other schools saying, hey, we're Students vs. Stigma. We would like to help you figure out how to help your kids better with their mental health, to lower the rate of suicide. We also have ideas for how we can help in our own schools with mental health, like we were talking about anonymous, like either tip or confession boxes that students can write something down on and, just basically confess or say, hey, so-and-so's not feeling so well, you should probably check up on that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
We discussed our mascot. Naming him Jeff was my idea for the record. He's Jeff the mental health apple. Try to lift each other up, build a community of students who truly want to help other students with their mental health and be there for their fellow man, so to speak.
Excellent job.
Ariana, do you want
Excellent.
to tell everybody just a little bit about what we do with Hope Squad?
Of course. Hello, my name is Ariana Iverson. I am a spokesperson at Redford Union High School for Hope Squad. I would just like to touch on a few things. One, community. I think community is extremely important as to I needed it when I was struggling with very hard mental health issues regarding the passing of my mother. So it's been 10 years. So in elementary, coming into first grade, I was struggling with suicidal thoughts. So around 7 to 8 years old, I was struggling right off the bat from my school career right up at the start. I have now had a community of people come with me, build a relationship with me, and not only just me, but others that are struggling. It's also given me eyes and a perspective on things that a lot of other students may not have as much, because some either think they have it really rough and they can't get out of their mindsets, and some just kind of act oblivious towards their situations. I would like to say that the Redford Union Hope Squad has definitely helped with building connections inside of the school, not just with friends and family, but also staff. Staff really has become like family for a lot of students. But I've also like to say that some staff are not trusted as much in the community of students. And I think that that really needs to be touched on, because a few students, plenty of students in the district struggle with coming forward about their issues. And it's not always just an issue. Sometimes some people just need to be listened to. And some people just want some help, just an ear, or somebody to just give them some hope. And so I really like what we've done. We've done certain activities promoting hope and like faith. You have to have faith in yourself to be able to do certain things, and you have to see it for yourself. And a lot of students struggle with being able to see themselves in the mirror, or just see themselves as something bigger than what they feel. And when you step outside of that, in these activities like playing with students you've never played before, a little silly Spider-Man game or something like that, it just really, it makes you feel warm for once. And I think that as a student that used to struggle with a lot of things, that just that 1 5-minute break can really help people. Another thing is, still touching on community, is I think the connections within people can do a whole lot for everybody. And students really need somebody to be there and not give up. Because a lot of the times they feel like giving up because stress or something going on at home. And I feel like not all the time does it matter about what the student's doing. Sometimes it happens inside the home. So when you come home to all of that, from school where you're provided all that support, you can't really escape those feelings that you have inside. And so I think we also need to talk more as Hope Squad about what we can do to try and prevent hopelessness. Because a lot of the times you go home and you just, well, I'm back to the exact same situation. I just left the school, and I think that really plays a part on students' mental health. Because if you leave a situation for 8 hours a day, it can really just, it'll push you to have a little bit of hope, and then you return right back. It's kind of like a never-ending cycle. Exactly. But yeah, in my experience, Hope Squad in general has been very enlightening. I learned a whole lot, not only what I can take from this when I grow up, but also just to be in the moment. I used to be very focused in on my head and my thoughts and peer pressure. Social media really plays a hard part when being in high school nowadays. You can't escape computers, you can't escape none of that. And so with that comes a lot of influence, regardless if it's grades, or it's your friends, or it's stories that they may have posted, or something a friend said about you behind your back. You can't really escape that pressure to be better or be good looking. There's a lot of things that happen when you go home as well on those computers and everything. But that has also led me to this another point, is that Hope Squad really helps strengthen your mindset.
That's
Because you learn another way of looking at things. It opens your mind to the question of what happens afterwards. And I never really used to think about it when I did have suicidal thoughts. What happens after I leave? What happens after I attempt and it actually is successful? And a lot of, I'd say, faculty doesn't really think about that as much. They really just think about the impact that it's going to have on, them. But when we think about it as what happens when the EMS has to come and, and everything happens, I think that we need to talk more about the buildup of that and not what happens after. Because what happens after, it's already done. You can't do anything about it. You can't tell that student, just hold on, keep going. Or sometimes you can't even really say anything that may stop it. But just to let them know that you're there is very important. And Miss Adolfo has really helped me and helped me lead a better life as who I am today. And it's also just helped me be able to see my peers as something other than their issues. And it just really shows that, a student may do things that require discipline. But when you really know on a peer level what they're going through that leads up to that, it really plays a part. And so when you're disciplined, and from a very young age, you learn that discipline happens no matter what. I mean, you could do something in elementary and your recesses took. So, and so I feel like from a very young age, we learn that, oh no, that's wrong. I don't even want to do anything like that. So when you do something and you're not really all there in your head right now, you're not the best you can be. And when you are forced to accept those discipline actions and all those decisions that are made for you and not for you, for your benefit, it really does affect their peers as well. Because not only are you missing out on seeing your friends or somebody that you usually see in the classroom every single day, but they're also struggling with those things.
If I could just add, when you wonder why I put in the hours I do and the work I do, this is why.
Absolutely.
Can you see how easy it can be?
And the last thing I would like to say is family. I think that for me, family has always been a part of me. It's who I am, really, because I've built family of faculty and people I knew from back then. It's not always usually who your bloodline is and who you share a family with or whatever the case may be. I think it's really about who you choose your family to be, who you choose to be around. And I think that also needs to, I think encouragement needs to happen, because there's a lot of kids that go around from peer pressure, hanging with the wrong groups, hanging with the wrong sides of families. And you know what, when you look outside of it, you're not stuck there. You don't have to be stuck there. It's really just a mindset. And it's also just really helped me realize that my family is who loves me and who I love. It's not usually about who's related to you. And so Hope Squad has really helped me with that. It really has, and I know that it's helped others, because I've had to be in certain situations that I've really had to step on my own 2 feet and like really be there, zone in and help, because I love everybody, and I love my friends specifically, and I've been there for my friends plenty of times. But it really does affect you when you know that your friends are going through something, and when all the faculty and everything is focused on them, it takes away the shine from everybody else as well. So I feel like we should have enough mental health support so that we can support not only the family that's going through that, but also the other students that's impacted by it as well.
Absolutely.
So Students versus Stigma is definitely in its infancy. We're still working it through how to best. But when we figure out how to most effectively channel their leadership and their voice, look out. I mean, I don't need to say another thing, do I? How awesome.
I just want to say at this moment that I've been doing this public education thing for 35 years, and I think we hear a lot about headlines about academics, and we're failing kids and schools aren't succeeding because our kids can't read, our kids can't do math, we're not producing leaders, we're not, we get beat up every day. So I think this is a good time to bring up that schools encompass so much more than an academic score. We are producing leaders, as Ronald and Ariana have just displayed for us today. We have staff who are involved and who care. And once, kids can't learn if they're not in a space to learn. If they're not in a good space to learn, learning cannot happen. And this is a good reminder of the work we can do, and that it isn't all about the score on the SAT or the M-STEP or any other academic assessment, because these people are doing the real work to get to that point. So thank you, both of you. Thank you, Ms. Adolfo. Thank you, Ms. Dillard.
I want to follow with just one quick story about Redford Union and life's truly life-saving. This is a true story. We're at a steering committee meeting, and Lynn, we always have a sharing time, and so it's Lynn's turn to share. Hope you don't mind me telling the story, but and she's feeling some emotion. She's feeling some stuff. And she says, it's been heavy, but a couple days ago, one of the Redford Union students who was on it was a national kind of I don't know what you call it, a gaming thing,
Yeah.
whatever, a stream, and heard some language that through Redford Union's teaching and the work that they're doing, pulled up some red flags. So what that student do? They went to a Hope Squad person. They weren't in a Hope Squad. They just learned from what you guys are doing. They went to a Hope Squad person. That Hope Squad person went to the police officer in the school. Police officer said, hey, because what was going on was someone from a different state. They were able to track down the school where this was coming from. They notified their police liaison officer. Long story short, because I know I'm way over my time, the student had weapons and had fully planned on shooting up a school. They were able to stop it.
Wow.
So instead of sitting in that meeting,
Wow.
talking about another school shooting that were on CNN yesterday, Lynn was talking about how Redford Union
Wow.
intervened and saved lives. So that's a story of how schools saving lives from the work that they're doing. You really need to be so proud. I'm so happy to do this one tonight because usually it's so heavy, everything I talk
Right.
about. But Redford Union is soaring high. They are the leading district right now in terms of what we're doing in Western Wayne County, and really through the state and national. I said earlier that I'm doing some state work. It's because of the coalition work, and Redford Union is the top. So maybe you're the best in the state. I don't know, but I could make that extrapolation pretty honestly. Yeah, pretty honestly, I think you can come to that conclusion. So be super proud of them, and I'm just going to end my presentation because there's nothing really left.
Just two quick questions. One, what are you guys going to school for as you continue on to be adults?
You don't know? That's okay.
Okay.
I plan to work in trade if I'm to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Okay.
Love it.
Yeah. What?
And you don't
how
have to
can we
know.
help?
If I did decide to go to school, I'll probably go to study either law or social work.
Beautiful.
See? Yeah.
I plan on going for criminal justice. I want to major in that at least, and as well as get my major in psychology.
Nice. And then, yeah, you both will do great. And don't worry about not knowing. I thought I knew a lot of things, and I changed probably like 3 times.
It's okay to not know. That's right.
And then for those who are not within like the school or are within the community and they want to be involved, is there a way for community members to be involved in some form or fashion other than like you guys coming out to things?
In Hope Squad or SVS?
Either one.
Either one.
So for the I can speak for the Hope Empowerment Coalition. Absolutely, and you nailed it. I mean, having community conversations, I think, are huge. Redford Union is already so supportive of the work we're doing.
Yeah.
So that's there. You guys already are nailing that.
Yeah.
But I think we have to engage in the community. I keep going back to the Mercy Road work. I think the more times we can do those kinds of things in the community, the more we can be having these conversations, the more we break stigma. Stigma is the thing that's the biggest thing in our way.
A huge
And we need to take a sledgehammer to it. So that would be my recommendation is have conversations. I'm willing to come anywhere. I'm a QPR trainer. I will do it for anybody, faith groups, work groups, whatever. I'd be happy to take this. I've spoken to Lions clubs, Rotary, those kinds of things. I'd be happy to talk about the work we're doing as a coalition and kind of bring this message. So
We're going to host an event next year at the high school.
Awesome.
For the community.
That'd be great.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna
One more
just.
question, sorry, as it relates to SBS, is it like just, is that state level or is it Redford level? The
SVS is coalition level. So
Oh, okay, so it's with,
yeah, those
it's
9
outside.
school districts that you
Okay,
saw.
gotcha.
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
To the chair.
Mr. Bailey?
Mr. Taylor, you had mentioned about social media. Are you talking about social media as a tool to hound somebody to like kill themselves? Or are you saying it's a spontaneous source of ideas?
There's bullying, we all know there's bullying going on, it pushes kids over the edge. Like what Brian was just saying, there's false admiration and depression that comes from that as well. Seeing somebody living a life that you may consider is not as grandiose as yours, and there's depression that comes up. But we can also use it as a tool to do exactly what our kids are doing.
Thank you.
So I'll just echo the thanks. I have several family members that struggle with mental health. Some that have attempted, some that have hospitalized themselves to prevent attempts. And so thank you, because maybe if those adults had this kind of support when they were younger, they would not have been in that situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now that I'm done crying, we are gonna take a 5-minute recess at the request of some fellow board members. Thank you for coming. Don't let me forget.
All the other work we do, you know.
Amazing.
No, you are.
Amazing.
Oh, no.
Because I had actually two.
Thank you, Brian.
The girl had a sharp pencil and she kept trying to stab herself.
Oh,
Stab herself. They required her to come back. I pulled myself to tears because I'm holding her and I'm calling the radio. And I'm just crying because I'm so upset. Like, you're so young. Why are you trying to take her? But I know she was healthy home. Well, she said she was and she said she was being pulled to school, which I know she wasn't because if you call somebody fat, they're going to call you fat.
exactly.
So that's not being bullied. No, that's not being bullied. You call people
Right.
but for you to take this pencil and try and stab yourself in the eye, that's you're trying to harm yourself. So they wanted her to get evaluated before she came to school. Which I don't know if her mama got her evaluated. Because her mama came to get her out the class like it was no big deal. Like, hey, I didn't want to do it. Are you going to the hospital? So some parents, they don't feel as though it's a concerning issue when their kids are young. Suicide. They just say no, it's a phase. And sometimes it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and grow with the child. You know.
Yeah.
So a parent has to take attention to this early on.
Right.
You can't just be the educator and hope for. And you've been told, hey, you shot up in the suicide. But that another leadership said, I want to kill myself. I really needed to call. I let the social workers know, and he told them, this how I would do it. He had a whole plan. How he would do it.
Every time we negotiate it.
He had a real plan, like this is what I would do.
finally show up.
Wow.
So this right here, mental illness is real.
It is.
So I taught
I think I'm gonna go to the rescue.
Yeah. You got time. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes. Does that bring with, yes. I choose to believe it again. We're gonna be talking about how we can coalition across the state because it really is gonna take small groups. And we can have a district council, we can have and my answer is no, because if we get too big, it's cumbersome, it doesn't work. Plus, what works in West Wayne County isn't necessarily gonna work downriver or, Puna or whatever. You really need to be regionally focused, right? And so that's how we're gonna get I don't think so. I and it's not a one and done thing.
Dory looks hungry. Weren't you hungry the last volleyball game?
Needless to say, my sugar level.
Thank you, Brian.
Brian,
It was good.
it's important.
Even when he was home.
All right. All right. I let you all talk and it gets crazy. All right. Let's bring it back in, and we will move on to interim superintendent's communications. Mrs. Nachman.
I just have two very quick things. Jackie made this outstanding flyer to announce upcoming opening seats on the board. It is posted on our Facebook page, and she will get to putting that on the website. And the next thing is Jackie has also started an onboarding guidebook.
Yay,
So
Jackie.
She has just put together a draft of what, she thought would be a good starting point. So we didn't make a lot of copies and multiply this, but I will pass this binder down so you can preview what she has done so far, give her your feedback and thoughts. It doesn't have to be tonight. In fact, we got a lot of meeting ahead, so maybe this is something that could go on an email or we could discuss in July, but I'm going to start by passing it down this way and you can peruse through it, see what she's done, and we'll pass it by the other way. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Way to go, Jackie. Yay. Snaps. Snaps for Jackie. Do you need an apple fritter? I mean, that's somebody after my own heart who says I'll work for apple fritters because I'm that way. I'll work for potato chips and Mountain Dew. So, communications received by the board secretary, Mrs. Johnson.
Nope, I was gonna bring up that there will be 2 spots. That's all.
Okay. Do we know, Jackie? I know Jeff's term is a full 6-year term. Is Megan's term it's a full 6 also?
Yeah, hers is up at the end of the year as well.
Right, but does the person who files need to file for a full or a partial?
Full.
They're both full 6, okay. Because we don't want that.
Yeah.
And we know that, sometimes,
Had 2 years.
right, and she's,
Appointed and then
she took over, so it's a full 6, okay. So that's 2 full 6-year terms to file for.
and it's on the flyer as well.
Okay, thank you. Because honestly, they won't know. They won't know. Interim Chief Financial Officer, Communications.
I'll hold my comments until with the agenda items.
Okay, thank you. Executive Director of Human Resources and Labor Relations Communications.
I have nothing this evening, other
right.
than you'll be asked to vote on the 4 collective bargaining agreements that are in your packet that we discussed on June 1st, and the secretaries that I had emailed you last week.
Thank you. Executive Director of Curriculum and Technology, Mrs. Crenshaw.
I don't really have a whole lot to update except for the bond. We've got all of the sites are ready to go. We're waiting on Wayne County to finalize some paperwork. So as soon as they get their paperwork back to us, we will be moving forward. And our construction team has promised that they'll still all be done in the same time frame, obviously assuming Wayne County gets their business together, in the same time frame. So that is why we haven't started the process yet. So just wanted to give you guys that update. But other than that, there's not a lot else to update. The school year has ended and we're moving on to the next one. So there we have it.
All right. Thank you. Executive Director of Student Services Communications, Mrs. Dillard.
Yeah, so just quickly, just from a perspective from an adult who has sat on the Hope Coalition for 4 years now, we went from 9 districts sitting together at a table thinking, what are we going to do? and how we're going to do this to reduce the stigma for these kids to what you saw tonight. So the work that's been done has been nothing short of phenomenal and amazing, but this is why we do it for these kids who come. It's been hard work. People are touched by it, but I continue to be an advocate for our kids, and I will continue to sit on this coalition as long as I'm here in Redford Union. So thank you to the board for supporting the work, and to our high school administration for supporting that work, because it is hard work, but it is so worth it when these kids can come and talk about it and have a better life. So thank you very much to the board for that.
Thank you. Thank you for the work you do, and your passion for our kids.
Not work, I enjoy it, so it's all good.
All right, future workshop topics, you all can see them. We don't need to read them. All right, call to the audience, public participation regarding non-agenda items. Okay. Moving on, action items. Special consideration, non-consent agenda action items. Item 1, 2025-2026 final amended budget. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education, at the recommendation of Maria Gistinger, Interim Chief Financial Officer, and Judy Nachman, Interim Superintendent, adopt the resolution of the 2025-2026 final amended budget as presented? Moved by Ms. Miller, seconded by Mr. Osowski. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. This requires a roll call vote. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski? Chair votes yes. Motion carries. All right, 2020, number 2, 2026-2027 projected budget. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education, at the recommendation of Maria Gissinger, Interim Chief Financial Officer, and Judy Nachman, Interim Superintendent, adopt the resolution of the 2026-2027 projected budget as presented? Moved by Mr. Osowski, seconded by Mrs. Johnson.
Yes, sir.
Is there any discussion?
Chair,
Mr. Bailey?
I would like to make a request, suggestion, that the next budget, that comes up, that the school board can have an independent fund, maybe a couple $1,000 where we can do, independent action.
Okay. So what do you want discretionary spending by the school board? Like
So
the school board could,
The school board governs the school district. The school board, instead of being,
They do have a budget at other places.
asking,
It's not unheard of.
can we have such and such for such and such, that we know we have a set amount of money that
Under
things can be
27,
done with.
it'd be like a little bit, not a lot.
I think we should look into what
Can be done.
can be done and what other districts may or may be doing before we would move forward with that. It's a good discussion to have. I'd be concerned about just telling a school board member that they have a certain dollar amount that they can just spend without their fellow board members approving it.
No. So the recommendation or the suggestion would be that the school board, as a unit,
Okay, I got you.
instead of having to request
You just go through the school board.
spending discretionary funds, is we can come up with something, and we know that we have a certain budget to deal with.
Oh, I feel what you're laying down. So like if the board said, we would like to spend $2,000 on a mobile food distribution, for example, we wouldn't have to go ask for that money. We would just, it would already be built into the budget. Is that
Right.
kind of like what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
But it also reinforces the organization. The school board isn't having to request it. They know it's already set
They have
up,
it on
and they
hand,
can make plans accordingly.
In the school board.
Okay. That's not a bad idea. I would say let's look and see what other districts are doing, right? What's a good, that's a good workshop agenda, to do some research on that. Because I'll just say, I can't imagine that if this board came and said, hey, we have this idea to do this that helps our community or helps our students, that anybody in this room, short of us literally not having the money, would say, we're not going to do that, right? So that's definitely a good future topic. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski? Chair votes yes. Motion carries. State aid note borrowing resolution. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education, at the recommendation of Maria Gissinger, interim chief financial officer, and Judy Nachman, interim superintendent, approve the state aid note borrowing resolution authorizing August 2026 borrowing through the Michigan Finance Authority in an amount not to exceed $5 million as presented?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Osowski, seconded by Mrs. Johnson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'm going to change it up. This requires a roll call vote. Mr. Osowski? Yes. Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean? Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion carries. Keeping y'all on your toes, because I'm going to go in a different order. All right. Resolution to renew the non-homestead millage. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education, at the recommendation of Maria Gissinger, interim chief financial officer, and Judy Nachman, interim superintendent, to adopt the resolution to renew the non-homestead millage in an amount not to exceed $18.0 million as presented? Moved by Mr. Osowski.
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Martin. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. This requires a roll call vote. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion carries. All right, interim superintendent contract, 2026-2027. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education approve a one-year interim superintendent contract for Judy Nachman? At the conclusion of this contract, Mrs. Nachman will resume her role as the Executive Director of Human Resources and Labor Relations.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Miller, seconded by Mrs. Martin. Is there any discussion?
To the chair.
Mr. Bailey?
So was this ever brought up to the board,
Uh,
or this was acted on?
Yes.
At the
When?
public hearing,
Last meeting.
Last meeting.
the lady gave a speech.
Last meeting, it was announced that this was being.
That I would be bringing a contract, that I was going to be recommending a contract, correct?
And then it was emailed out.
Correct.
But we heard about it.
No, I get that. But even before that, where the board discussed this, let's go ahead with it, as opposed to, I contacted the attorney, let's,
Was
to
it more
put a
detailed?
contract.
I won't say officially, but we've had conversation at this board table supporting her work as an interim, and
We also had someone speak
Someone spoke.
at the last meeting.
right, I
about
mean,
their support.
our UEA president supports her. So while we didn't officially as a board say, let's move forward this way, no one has approached me or to any other board members, to my knowledge, wanting to do anything other than this. So
She's been doing a great job. So.
based on what the feeling that I was getting from the rest of the board and what I know about doing a superintendent search,
It's gonna take a while.
made an assumption.
So I question, did you personally speak with Judy?
I did, yes. Yeah, I wouldn't have, if I didn't know that she was comfortable staying in the role, yes, I absolutely spoke to Judy.
And then I just want to say, you're doing an awesome job. And I'm so happy that you decided to stay on with us, but I also do see that you're going to only be in one role.
This contract, no, I'm gonna be still doing both.
Okay.
So
The contract-
after this contract concludes, I would go back to my other position unless I decided to apply for the position.
Okay.
It
But-
protects her
It means I won't be out of work at the end of this contract.
if she decides, yeah.
It's gonna
We
take
felt,
how long do it take to find?
it
a
takes months to
superintendent?
do a superintendent search. It's months. Like, we have to start in the winter
So this helped the district keep going.
Yes, yes, because of the time frame we were in with the departure of our previous superintendent. At the time of year that that happened, we were not in a position to do a superintendent search, because you really do start those like 4 months before you hire somebody, because you make those decisions in May and June on who your next superintendent's going to be, because in theory, they become superintendent at the beginning of July. I also, just to kind of, I had several administrators come to me and express their support for her. So,
The entire district.
yeah. So I just,
That was very important.
Because if we didn't have
If-
Judy, it'd disrupt the whole district.
absolutely. If that offends somebody, I apologize. That was never my intent. It's always been my intent to help this district move forward. Again, if
Chair.
Mr. Bailey.
So the issue here to me is procedural. Ever since November, it hasn't been a discussion through the board. It's been just going forward and setting things in motion.
So let me correct you about November. It is within my rights as president to handle the situation that I handled in October and November. It is in our bylaws that it is my right as a president. The
Not
president.
as written.
It is written that way in the bylaws. The president has the right to reach out to legal counsel. It's specifically written in the bylaws, and if I need to pull them up and read it to you, I will. Under the president's duties, it is specific in the bylaws. I was prepared for this argument months ago with you. It is my right. The way I handled the situation in November was handled well within my rights as board president.
So this seems to be continuing. I'm asking you, instead of going off and doing this on your own, the board, 7 people and an axe of 7 people, would you please discuss before you go forward and do things with the rest of the board, at least somebody on the board?
Mr. Osowski, have I discussed this situation with you? With not doing a superintendent search? Mrs. Dean, have I discussed this with you?
I'm sorry.
Oh. I mean, Mrs. Johnson, I've discussed this with you, correct?
Yes.
I don't think that anybody except for you at this table thinks that I have acted on my own in this situation.
We've all gave her acclamations.
We've
She was
all,
doing a great
exactly.
job.
Excuse me, at the January 22nd special board meeting, interim superintendent Nachman shared her thoughts and feelings about the situation. She will continue to support the district in whatever needs to be done. The board shared their insight and sentiments while also extending their support to interim superintendent Nachman and thanked her for the work she has done.
We all went down the road.
Thank
And at that same meeting, you all expressed your gratitude to Kim Crenshaw as well.
Thank you, Mrs. Warren.
And it was videotaped. It's on this video, isn't it?
It is, it's on video. I know that, I hear what you're saying, and
Can we keep moving on past it?
all I'm gonna say is this decision to ask her to remain interim superintendent ultimately is being made right now and lays with these lies in the hands of the 7 of us. So vote your conscience.
Vote your heart.
Yeah, and it's like, let's say for instance, I do understand, I do see what you're saying, I do see how, it could have been a discussion prior to this, a formalized discussion, absolutely. That's something that is to take note of going forward, and to make it to where we're not just, so it can be seen like it's transparent for everyone to understand what's happening. But in general, I think I do agree with the rest of the trustees that it was a generalized assumption, or not census. But I definitely understand what you're saying. It's, you know what I'm saying. But going forward, especially as we're gonna be, you know what I'm saying, we may have to go into a superintendent search at the end
It
of school.
sound like it.
And
Could very well.
So with that, especially if, a person that we love so much decides not to, to apply.
I know,
And so-
right?
And so therefore, we may have to, do, a search.
Search, and that's gonna
And
take
so with
months.
that,
Months. It's a big old hot mess to do it.
that transparency piece will be there formalized so everybody can understand what's happening. And then, one thing too, if you guys have any comments that you guys would like to see in this, I did add a sheet on top, so if you guys wanna add something that you guys wanna see.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Hearing none. This requires roll call. Mr. Bailey?
Based on procedure, no.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski?
Yes, we can get 2 years.
Yeah.
Yes, if we can get nice save. No.
She's like, let's get 1 year.
Yes, if we can get 2 years. Chair votes yes, motion carries 6-1.
Oh my God.
All right.
That's cute. That was cute.
Okay. Item 6, proposed HIV curriculum approval. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education approve the proposed HIV curriculum as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Johnson, seconded by Mrs. Martin. I think you got him, Mrs. Martin. Is there any discussion?
To the chair.
Mr. Bailey?
So I handed out some material for you guys, and I handed out at the last meeting also, where the law specifically talks about communicable diseases. And I think that's the emphasis, and they threw in, it's to include HIV and some sexually transmitted disease. I'm not sure why we're getting lost in the weeds in terms of that. The main emphasis is our communicable diseases. If you guys don't know the range of what communicable diseases are, I included it on the second page. So it goes way beyond gonorrhea and syphilis and HIV. And many of the transmission routes are the same. But what I'm seeing in terms of the material that we're teaching, it's rather narrow and limited. We're wasting a wonderful opportunity of teaching the next generation how to protect themselves and what to look for. Now we have a choice. We can go with the state curriculum, or there's another choice, which is the districts are home rule, and the law gives us an opportunity to modify what's being presented or what's being offered for us. I would like to encourage that we look beyond the here and now in the easy way and try to maximize this opportunity and actually prevent deaths. I keep hearing how much we love our kids. Folks, this is coming from a health perspective, this is the easiest way of saving lives and also preventing misery.
Comment.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Mrs. Martin?
So like when, as we look through the curriculum, did the curriculum not include other communicable diseases besides sexual transmitted diseases?
Mr. Norton, can you answer that? Do you
I
know?
found a curriculum that matches what the state standards proposed.
Okay.
If the board is pushing to go beyond the state standards, then I would have to reapproach.
So the state standard doesn't address other communicable diseases? Is that your understanding of?
The emphasis with the language is HIV.
Okay.
So with the material that Bailey presented as relates to the code itself, it does say communicable. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that word wrong, guys.
It's a $5 word there.
And so it does say that. And so are you saying that by it stating that their plan, their state is not included? If the state revised code is saying, hey, look, we're gonna discuss all these particular diseases,
I mean, communicable, the way that you're presenting it, and my understanding, it seems to be extremely broad. So if you are wanting
that's
to
the flu.
increase it to beyond what is in the proposed curriculum lessons, that's the decision for the board to make.
Okay.
So, no, I guess my question is there a plan out there that includes these things that's provided by the state?
So,
A curriculum, excuse me.
so the curriculum isn't provided by the state, the standards are provided by the state.
Okay.
There are vendors that create programs that we can pursue to, well, we don't have to purchase this one is free to us.
Okay.
And it was the one that was recommended by Wayne Risa. So I didn't have any reason, after looking through the lessons and speaking with with Jane Ethorn, I can't remember her current title, but that's what she oversees. I didn't find a need to go and look for something else. Are there other programs that exist? Yes, there are. Do I know them by name? No, I don't. But if you, as a board, do not feel that this effectively covers what the intentions are, then that's the decision that you'll make, and I'll have to go with a different route.
To the chair.
Mr. Bailey?
Take it a step further, just down a couple versions or sections from the communicable disease law. There's 380.1177A.
What page are you? Where you at? Count how many you're in.
I don't know, it's towards the back. Anyway.
It's important if you want us
in
to
the-
follow so we can look
in
at
the-
it. That's why I'm asking you, if you can point us to where you're looking at, sir.
In the same revised school code, just a couple sections down, they're talking